What is the ideal NP preceptor? How to choose a nurse practitioner preceptor. Sounds like this particular tribe member is either in NP school, is working on getting into NP school, or has heard the horror stories that I have told, or others, about NP preceptors. Choosing an NP preceptor is a little bit different than how preceptorship works at the entry-level nursing school program. Most nursing school programs, and please tribe, correct me if I'm wrong, they're usually chosen for you. In the entry-level programs, you literally are in you're in a specific nursing school. You have relationships with particular hospital systems, and then I guess you can choose maybe the area you want to go in, or maybe you don't have a choice, but I don't think you actually get to choose your preceptor. You can't say I want Mrs. Smith versus Mr. Jones. I don't think you get to choose that. At least that's my perception, that as a entry-level nursing student, you don't get a lot of choices. You're kind of given what you got. But once again, please correct me if I'm wrong. With NP programs, it's a completely different animal. In most cases, it's your job to figure it out. In fact, in almost all the cases, it's your job to find one. Most schools can assist you, but it's going to be pretty much the bulk of the work is going to fall into your lap. Well, that kind of sucks. Yes, it does, because finding a preceptor is tough enough. Just locating someone that is willing and able to precept you, that's a challenge in itself. I'm almost positive I've done a video on that. I'm going to have to double check on that. But then you have to try and create or envision what your ideal preceptor is. So first things first, an NP preceptor can be any of the above. It can be a nurse practitioner, it can be a physician assistant, or it can be a physician. And that physician could be in whatever specialty that you'll be practicing in. So if it's in medicine, it could be a hospitalist. It could be family medicine. If it's in a specialty area, then you want to have someone who's practicing in that area. You could literally be precepted by a surgeon if you're interested in going into surgery. You basically can be precepted by anybody that is practicing at the provider level, period. Which is different from PAs, because I think there's stipulations with PAs. I could be wrong, but I think there's certain PA programs that don't allow NPs to precept them. And there are certain NP programs, now that I'm thinking out loud, I think that, you're going to have to ask your school. It's the ultimate answer, and I don't think there's some state level restriction to that. I think it literally has to do with school preferences. So you got to find a preceptor that, one, your school is allowing you to get. It's the first thing. And the most ideal candidate understands what an NP's role does and how they function. They've had experience working with an NP. You do not want to work with a physician or a surgeon that literally had to look up what an NP is on the internet, or that they're opening a practice, or they're starting a practice, or they're joining a practice where they have to work with NPs, but they've never done it before. You probably want to avoid those people at all costs because it's no fault of their own, because they're unaware, they're unfamiliar. But they're not going to let you learn the things you need to learn because they don't know what to teach you. And they have no clue what your capabilities are, let alone your educational preparation. So I would avoid those people at all costs because it's not helping you. It will hinder you. It'll be a big fat waste of time. You'll do a 4-week preceptor rotation with this particular person and they will have taught you nothing. You will waste your time. You'll clock hours. Woohoo! That's great. But it's not going to help you when you finally get out there practicing. In fact, it'll hinder you because then you're going to have to learn it twice. So find a preceptor that, one, the school allows, and two, someone that understands what you do. They have some tangible experience with working with an NP at the practice level. And preferably in whatever specialty area you're choosing. For me, when I went into my NP program and I went into to look for an NP preceptor, it literally was a bag of tricks. I got super duper lucky in finding a preceptor that, one, was relatively close to where the school was, which was still a heck of a travel for me. But they also had specific intensive care experience working as an NP in the intensive care unit. So they literally were doing the job that I wanted. And that was the perfect scenario, is to find a preceptor that is doing the job that you're interested in pursuing. Don't find someone that has no experience in the ICU and then that's where you want to go when you graduate, because you've learned nothing. You've prepared in no way, shape, or form. You want to, and we're talking ideal here. So ideally someone who is working in the particular area you're working in. And lastly, someone who's willing to teach you. It sucks that that's like the third thing on the list. But that's the world we live in. That's the environment that we've created. You hopefully find someone that is willing and wanting to teach you. Because being a preceptor for a student is hard. Because I, as a preceptor, have to dial down my speed 10 notches. And I have to do everything by the numbers. It's similar to when you precept a student when you're an entry-level nurse, when you're a bedside nurse, or whatever area that you work in, and there's a new nurse that comes on, and you're tasked with teaching them. So you have to take everything, you have to slow down from 10 to 0, because you have to teach them by the numbers. I'm not saying that it's bad or there's something negative aspect of it. You just have to find a preceptor that's okay with that process, because precepting a student requires hours upon hours of extra work. And it's rewarding work. I absolutely love it. But it does lengthen everything you do. So find a preceptor that is willing to do that. And I mean, let's say it, the fourth thing would be find a preceptor that has preceptor experience. I mean, duh. That's the given. You find someone that actually has done this before, so they know what they're doing, or they have some vague idea of how to teach you as a student. This unfortunately is a huge problem in the world of nurse practitioner schools, that NP students are finding out the hard way that finding an NP preceptor is, one, a amazingly burdensome task, because there's a lot of there aren't many NPs out there that are available or willing to be a preceptor, which stinks. But I'm sorry, I don't make the rules, I just try to follow them. So you are not only having to figure out how to pass your classes and graduate, but now you got to go find a preceptor. And that gets exponentially complicated if you're doing in a completely online or a cohort type of program. So if, for me, I live in the state of Pennsylvania, if I was enrolling in a online program that is based in California, there's no brick and mortar school that where I physically am standing. The school is across the United States. So now I have to find a local preceptor that is going to be accepted by the school and that works in an environment that is able to create a relationship with the school. The red tape you have to go through is brain numbing. And I tell every NP student that starts NP school, the minute that you are accepted and that you have decided where you're going and how it's going to happen, in the first semester, yes, the first semester, start looking for an NP preceptor. Somewhere, wherever, however, start asking, searching, actively searching for an NP preceptor. Because the worst thing that can happen is you go through the first year and a half to 2 years of your 3 or 4 year program, and you're going to be going into whatever semester it is that requires this preceptor, and you still haven't found one. So your entire graduation plan can get delayed by a semester or by an entire year, because everything is done in sequence. So if you don't take Class A, you can't take Class B, and you can't take Class C. And if Class A requires a preceptor and you don't have one, you are at a standstill. Can't take Class A, can't take Class B, can't take Class C, and you can't graduate. So you are stuck where you're at in limbo until you find a preceptor. So that is why the minute you get accepted, find a preceptor. Find someone who is going to commit, and I would recommend finding a backup. I would be finding 2, because you do not want to be that student who is in you're in an island on your own, just waiting and pining to find a preceptor so that you can actually move forward in your program.